Mercedes should not be allowed to keep doing this. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video. And if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Mercedes are confident they can bounce back for the Singapore Grand Prix and be on the podium. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin says the team is optimistic of enduring an improved showing at this weekend's Singapore Grand Prix. Despite currently retaining a comfortable handle on second place in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes has struggled to establish itself as the consistent second force to Red Bull on the racetrack. The German marque has failed to record a podium finish at the previous 4 rounds, while Aston Martin, Ferrari, and McLaren have all taken turns to share the rostrum. Mercedes entered the Italian Grand Prix weekend expecting to struggle at a high downforce circuit that exposed the weaknesses of its W14 package. The team was unable to challenge Red Bull or Ferrari for the top positions, resulting in George Russell and Lewis Hamilton coming home 5th and 6th, respectively. However, Shovlin asserts that Mercedes will arrive in Singapore anticipating a much stronger level of performance at the sort of high downforce Marina Bay venue the Brackley squad have fared better at in 2023. "We are certainly hoping," Shovlin said during Mercedes' post-Monza debrief, when asked whether Singapore would suit its car better. "There is a reason to think that the car will work better, and that is because Singapore is a maximum downforce circuit. Our performance at the high downforce tracks like at Barcelona, Budapest, and even Zandvoort, the car was working well, and we've had pretty strong performance. We're hoping to be able to be a bit quicker there and get back to a position where we can challenge for podiums." However, Mercedes' chances of a top 3 finish could be complicated by an alteration to the track layout that has replaced turn 16, 19 with a single long straight. The reduction in lap time caused by the changes, estimated to be as much as 10s compared to last year, could potentially hamper Mercedes and boost its main rival's overall competitiveness. The track, though, does throw up some pretty unique challenges, and we've also got some layout changes for this year, Shovlin explained. There is a sequence of 4 corners near the end of the lap that have been removed where the track used to go underneath a grandstand through a tunnel. That's now gone, so we've got a longer straight, which will change a little bit how the tires are working. There is a bit less energy there, but it's also an abrasive tarmac. We've got the softest 3 compounds, so it's a pretty tough race on the tires, and it's also a bumpy street circuit. Added to that, the races run at night. Plenty of challenges for us to try and tackle then, but we are going there optimistic for a strong performance. The pace of Ferrari will be of much intrigue to Mercedes too, with the team 45 points clear of its Italian rivals in the battle for second in the constructors' standings. Lewis Hamilton has finally signed his long-awaited contract extension with Mercedes. The 7-time world champion will continue with the Silver Arrows for at least 2 more seasons. However, this extension took longer than expected. Now, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has revealed the reason for this months-long delay. Wolff mentioned that he and Hamilton had agreed upon the major aspects of the new contract around July. The Austrian claimed that things were slow as the sport headed into the summer break. Both Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton had said that no discussions took place during this month-long break. The Mercedes boss told Autosport, "I think Lewis and we were clear on the major terms in June, July. Then just things were bubbling along and then it was summer break." The 51-year-old pointed out that clauses around marketing had led to the discussions with Hamilton taking longer than expected. Wolff claimed that small, less relevant topics had taken up time with lawyers further working through all details. He said, "In the end, it was things about marketing, not really the big relevant topics, that took a bit of time. Sometimes with lawyers it can take time, although ours are obviously splendid." The second story is that Toto Wolff claims that Mick Schumacher is looking to make a comeback to F1. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has weighed in on Mick Schumacher's Formula One future, advocating for the young driver's return to the grid. Schumacher, who began his F1 journey with Haas in 2021 and 2022, but was replaced for the 2023 season, has been in a reserve role at Mercedes. However, as the 2024 grid starts to take shape, Schumacher is eager to secure a race seat. Wolff believes that Schumacher's potential hasn't been fully showcased in the sport. He stated to reporters, "I think he deserves to be on the grid. The moment you're not feeling confident in a car for a long period, the more pressure you put on yourself, the less well you perform. And I think this happened at Haas. He's quick. If you win F3 and F2, there is high potential in you, and he was never able to show it." Regarding a potential opportunity at Williams, Wolff commented, "But the contribution in the simulator is tremendous, and that makes us sometimes do these big jumps from Friday to Saturday because he's driving his socks off overnight." Wolff also offered praise to James Vowles, former Mercedes strategy chief and current team principal of Williams, for the team's improved performance. He said, "Williams deserves to be racing at the sharp end, and they're doing a good job. We've seen that it's an efficient car, and it's fast when it's fast." The upcoming race on the Formula One calendar is the Singapore Grand Prix, scheduled for September 15th, 17. This physically demanding track, the Marina Bay Circuit, stretches over 5.063 kilometers of bumpy street surface and features humid conditions that challenge drivers to push their limits. As Schumacher seeks a return to the Formula One grid, fans await further developments in the silly season as teams finalize their lineups for the 2024 season. George Russell recognizes teams have had dominant spells throughout Formula One's history, but still considers Red Bull's runaway lead in 2023 a bit of a shame. After 14 of the 22 races on the calendar, Red Bull have 14 wins. 12 of those have gone the way of Max Verstappen, who has more points on his own than Mercedes have as a team. Most recently, Verstappen came out on top in Italy for his 10th win on the spin. Russell, who finished 5th in Monza and sits 7th in the overall standings, spoke out about the state of play before the previous Grand Prix in the Netherlands, with his comments now coming to light. "I think for probably 25 years now, there's always been a team that has dominated during a certain period, so it is definitely a bit of a shame," Russell said, per Planet F1. "You can't take it away from Red Bull. They're obviously doing an amazing job, and you need to give them credit for that. But as I said, it's a shame because the fight for second at the moment between us, McLaren, Aston, and Ferrari is actually really exciting. So I don't know how you achieve that in the sport, but that's the goal for sure." While Red Bull hold an unassailable overall lead, the race for second remains alive with 56 points separating Mercedes in second and Aston Martin in fourth, with Ferrari in between. Aston Martin's improvement has meant 3 teams are fighting for that second spot, rather than the 2 last year when Ferrari finished just 39 clear of Mercedes in the overall standings. Russell is under no illusions about Red Bull's quality, not to mention the fact their ceiling could also rise, but he has still taken some positives from the sport's past. I mean, when you look at the turn in form that Aston Martin had over last winter, the turn of form that McLaren has had, that definitely gives optimism that it can happen, the Brit added. Obviously, Red Bull are going to continue to improve. It's going to be difficult for sure. But you know, we saw Red Bull catch Mercedes in the Mercedes era in 2021, and that was sort of unforeseen, as well as 2020 from Mercedes was a really dominant year. Then in 2021, Red Bull starts with the quickest car. We'll be pushing for that, but we're not going to put any huge expectations on next year. We will sort of take it race by race, making sure we get all of the right information to make the best decisions possible between now and the Bahrain test next year. The third story is Mercedes believes F1 changed the rules to stop the Mercedes domination. Toto Wolff believes that regulation changes in the past have been introduced in Formula One to stop Mercedes from dominating. Red Bull has established itself as the benchmark in 2023, having taken all 14 victories so far, while 24 of the last 25 races have been won by one of its drivers. Max Verstappen also broke the record for most consecutive wins with his 10th victory in a row at the Italian Grand Prix. While there is no desire to introduce regulation changes to reduce its advantage, Wolff noted that it has been done in the past. "We probably lost the 2021 Driver Championships for many reasons," Wolff told media. "One was the final race, but we also lost it because those regulations were set in place in order to reduce the advantage that we had. For the 2021 season, the FIA made changes to the regulations which would see a 10% reduction in downforce for teams, as they were made to make a diagonal cut in their floors ahead of the rear tires. This was done over safety concerns after teams were found to be creating lateral slots in their floors near the rear tires to generate more downforce. But Wolff believes it was one of the key areas that enabled their 2020 car, the W11, be so dominant at the hands of Lewis Hamilton, who claimed his 7th title in 2020. The 2020 season was a super dominant year for us. I think it was the best car we ever had. Towards the end of the season, they changed the regs by cutting the floor out, and that was to stop us," said Wolff. "You could see the results in 2021. We were not as competitive as Red Bull was, but in Silverstone we unlocked more of the potential of the car and got ourselves back into the championship. But back in the day, these regs were clearly targeted to reset the pecking order. George Russell admits it will be impossible to say for sure that his Mercedes team will challenge Red Bull in the next couple of seasons. Red Bull are dominating the Formula One world. So far this season, the Milton Keynes-based team has won every single race and is on course to perhaps become the first team ever to maintain a 100% record across a campaign. And their star driver, Max Verstappen, has been the main driving force behind that remarkable success. He has won all but 2 Grands Prix this season and is on a remarkable 10-race winning streak, while his rivals at other teams can only watch on in envy.